expose yourself. Show 'em what you're all about. Drag out.
Well, one of your most iconic moments was that talent show when you came out with Same Parts.
Because what you see isn't always the truth. Say it with me. What you see isn't always true. Thank you.
Now, how did you come up with that? Like, did you like end up writing that like shortly before? Was that had already done? Like, what was the story behind Same Parts?
The Same Parts. Okay, so the Same Parts, I wrote that when I was in high school because it was genuinely about me going to house parties and grinding on dicks. That was my thing. And so, so that's where that came from my true life. But I was not planning on putting that on TV. My original plan, because, I mean, I don't know. Well, no, I think I'm allowed to say it. So, like, a lot of times with the talent show, they do let you know it's coming, you know, and before you get there. And so they'd ask, like, just to make sure, like, do you want any music? Like, what do you think you're doing? And I had no idea what I was doing. So I thought about it. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll do it was still supposed to be spoken word, but maybe I'll do it, but like using other girls' catchphrases in weird ways. It was supposed to be inspired by, you know, the movie, what the hell was that movie? Not Can't Hardly Wait. 90s teen movies, give them to me. She's All That.
Yeah.
There you go. Remember She's All That with the dwarves that are in the blue suits and they're like saying weird poetry things? Well, that was the inspiration. So that's like what I was gonna do, some weird shit, like doing that, but using other girls' catchphrases. It was, in my mind, it made sense. But then the more I thought about it the night before, I was like, I could get read for using other girls, like it wouldn't be more about me, it would be more about them. So I still had that music and I still had to use it because it was secured and that's what was happening during rehearsal. So I took the rap, it was a fast rap originally. I took it in my head and I just slowed it down and I replaced all the bad words with things that could be said on television. And yeah, so when I did it on stage at the talent show, that was the first time I'd done that publicly. I had not rehearsed it when we had rehearsals the day before. I didn't rehearse it that morning when we had rehearsals. I was just like, if it's gonna work, it's gonna work. I've been saying these, you know, lyrics in my head for the past like decade and a half, so I'm not gonna forget the words. So I'm very happy that everyone liked it. It was a real, like, yeah.
I mean, you end up having Katya still on like, always like talking about it.
Because honey, what you see, oh my God,
Always the truth.
I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think her obsession with it is?
You know, she loves things that make you think. She's a thinker, that one. I think definitely what you see isn't always the truth, really stuck in her. And then also see me with them hands. Like, a lot of people ask me, like, what exactly does that mean? That means, like, do you want to fight? Like, see me with these hands, like, catch these hands, you know? So that's what it meant to me. But to her, she was like, you know, see me with your hands. Like, you know, that weird thing. I don't know what movie it is where he's got the hands with the eyeballs in them. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that movie. But she really was about, like, she thought it was that type of shit. I'm like, you taking it to a real in-depth level that I had not thought about, but good for you. I have to give her props though, because she made that single sell so much. That's free publicity. She toured more with the Same Part single than probably I did. So thank you, Katya.
And another iconic moment was your Shut Up and Drive lip sync against Alyssa Edwards. Now,
Yeah.
My question for you about this is, in that moment and afterwards, what was the reception like around you? Did you know it was going to be so iconic in that moment?
No. I mean, I hoped. I mean, I don't know. You don't go into that thinking like, I'm going to make this iconic. You're going into it like, I don't want to go home. So I was just pulling out just about every, you know, move I had. And it's weird watching it because it does look like we were always doing not the same move, but something very similar at the same time. Which is just, I guess, me and Alyssa think of music in the same type of way when it comes to movement. But yeah, I had no idea it was going to be as big as it became.
I mean, it literally like is on every list as #1. It's the #1 lip sync of like all time.
I mean, I think it would go to Brooklyn and Evie, but I'm fine. Just I'll be the top one. You know, I'll do that. Yeah, it's great that people really loved it so much. And there's not a day that goes by since that has aired that I have not been messaged on Instagram or tweeted or something where someone's like, oh my God, this is iconic, and they'll send it to me, or they'll say like, having a bad day, so I watched this and it made me feel better. Or like, yeah, there literally has not been one day that I have not heard something about that performance. So that's great to leave a good legacy like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you left a really good legacy, and I think you really did prove out that whole All Stars 2. If you would have made it to the top 4, would you have had to have already written that Read You Wrote You part, or did you already have that done, or would that have been told to you later?
They told us about the Read You Wrote You. They told us that was going to be a thing. Probably the night before. I think it was the night before the comedy challenge. No. Yes. Somewhere in there. It was like the night before I was T-Boz, I want to say. They told us, like, there's a challenge coming up. Here's the stuff. And they, like, uploaded it to our iPods or whatever. Because that's what they had us, like, go through the music that we would have to learn at some point. They're like, we gave you this. You need to write a verse to it. At some point, it's something to think about for the future. It's going to be a thing. And so I was like, okay. And that night I went back to the hotel and wrote out my whole entire, like the base idea of what I wanted it to be, just so I'd be ahead of the curve if I got the opportunity to get there, which I did not.
What was your verse better than Roxy Andrews?
You know what? I think Roxy Andrews is iconic. I think that verse is iconic. When people think about that, I mean, obviously I love Katya's because it's just, so Katya. But everyone's like, I'm Roxy Andrews and I'm here to make it clear. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking cool. So I love Roxy's. Actually, I repurposed the verse for I repurposed that verse, and it's on my album, and it's on the song Shut It Down with Caswell.
I be the bitch that keeps it tight. I be the bitch that rides all night. I look good even in daylight. Yeah, you know that's right.
So it's not wasted, it's used.
Expose yourself. Show 'em what you're all about. Dragged out.